Hey, everybody.
I am strong.
We got some strong people here. What's going on, everybody? Good evening, good night, good day, good morning to the good day to the New Zealanders. That's my New Zealand accent. Not very good. Maybe it's a bit more Australian. Anyways, I just saw Shadram in the chat. Jim Scott, hello. Unfortunate Pumpkin, hello. Welcome, welcome. Frostjack, hello. KC, what is on tap? Actually, it's not. Frostjack says it's not very Australian, but Shatra gave me some points. You know what it was for a long time. I think we still do, but I think the tip from Stream Elements, we had jokingly set it to their digital Australian person because we wanted to make fun of Vin, of course. And so I'm just so used to, for many, months and months and months now, just hearing that, that fake, that really bad, Australian accent from the Stream Elements tip. It's good stuff. Leogs asks, okay, I need to ask past, but you know what, Leog, number one, I'll answer your question, but listen, there is no such thing as a bad question here. We are all about seeking past our ignorance. If I say something stupid, I fully expect everybody to call me out on it. And if I'm wrong, I'll totally own up to that and admit it. I might be corrected and still hold my opinion. But that would be because I still have my evidence and my fact, I have my reasons for why I believe in something to be true. But don't ever be afraid to ask a question. Where is the strong thing from? Conan? No, it is from the Ralph Bakshi animated version of The Hobbit. Ralph Bakshi made some really weird animated movies in the late 70s, animated of both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And if you actually, obviously they took these from the books, but if you go and watch them, especially the Lord of the Rings, you will see how much they influenced the Peter Jackson films. It's actually really crazy. Anyways, Smaug, the great red dragon that lairs in the Kingdom of the Mountain. In the cartoon version, he boasts when he's in the throne room and Bilbo's there and he's, finding the Arkenstone and whatnot. Smaug boasts that he is strong. And that really came, Leog, out of making fun of Bob, of course, because Bob just, jokingly loves the Hulk, loves the barbarian. The only thing he wants to do is get stronger. And so that's sort of the joke, is that, when someone is doing it right, it's because they are, they're strong. Anyways, no, so I was super busy today. My dogs had vet appointments, so I had to get up early. I had to drive them to the vet. Then I had to go get them.
Jack tipped $3. Don't mind me, just supporting the channel and also testing something. Wild, Archdevil, Undead.
All right, there we go. I think you wanted to hear the tip. Is that what you wanted to hear? The tip voice? Is that what it was? Thank you, Frostjack, for the $3. Appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Oh, Flint Fireforge with the upgrade. Congrats, buddy. Thank you very much for that sign of support. Really appreciate it. Flint, if you haven't already, make sure you go into the Discord or the Patreon. But on the Discord, in our Nights Only channel, there's a link to the playlist that has all of our exclusive videos that you do not get as a Squire. You only get as a Knight or a Champion or a Hero. We have about, I want to say it's over 50 exclusive videos. Make sure to check those out. It's kind of a blast from the past at this point, because some of them are bonus content of if you need to, Flint, just ping me on the Discord server. I'll help you find it. But, basically all of our videos, our older videos, I was not aware of this. Yeah, almost every one of our older videos has a bonus Patreon video footage. So basically, long story short, whenever we got together and filmed, we would always basically leave the cameras rolling after we kind of ended it. And we usually do another 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes of extra stuff that was just for the Patreon. And that's our Patreon bonus content. And that is posted on YouTube, posted on the Patreon. But I just made a playlist. I put everything together and I put it into the night channel. And it's pinned in there. So if you go and you check out that playlist, it has everything. Like I said, some of it's going back like almost, a year and a half, 2 years at this point. So you might be like seeing a bonus footage or behind the scene footage from some really old video, but it could be fun to check out. Let's see. That is obscure and fantastic. I knew of the animation, but never watched it in full. Yeah, it was a personal favorite of mine when I was a kid. And Damien is confirming that everything Bakshi did is completely insane, not just his Tolkien adaptations. So that's good to know. Let's see what else we got going on here. Shadram asking a question. By the way, tonight is just a Q&A. We did a Patreon Q&A last night, but these are a little bit more informal. The Patreon Q&As are, we're talking about the channel and we're talking about money and the financials. But honestly, I was super busy today and I didn't think I was going to even have a stream. I kind of forgot to I was like, oh shit, I forgot to even post that's why YouTube had that problem. I clicked go live, and because the last time we went live, we did it from the studio. I don't know. It must have screwed something up and just started saying we were going live from the studio again. And I was like, no, I'm not there. But anyways, I was going to cancel because I was super busy with work. And my dogs had to go to the vet today. And my roommate, she washed something in the washer that had like kerosene or fuel oil on it. And it ruined a load of laundry. And I've been trying to deodorize and clean out the washing machine for the last 2 days. And I took the laundry up to a dry cleaner to see if we could salvage it. Yada, yada, yada. Anyways, it was super, super busy day. And there were some really great conversations on the Discord that I didn't get to be a part of, although we might talk about those tonight. Although, again, we might be retreading some ground here because, again, I think I missed about 400 or 500 messages today on the Discord. Miss one day, miss a lot, right? And so I'm looking forward to maybe kind of discussing some of these ideas because I did have some ideas about it. Anyways, what are your thoughts on Warner Brothers trying to do a Star Wars with the Lord of the Rings? I'm totally fishing for a rant. Shadram, I don't know what that means. You'll have to describe. I don't know. Warner Brothers trying to do a Star Wars with the Lord of the Rings. I don't know what that means. All right. Derek, you talk about videos like stand-up comedians talk about their sets. Yeah, so we did a solid 45. What's the deal with these dice? You've got a 20-sided die. You've got a 8-sided die. Where's the 14-sided die? Who decided? All right. That was my horrible. Zerverus is happy to catch a stream again. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Always feel like you're playing catch up in the Discord. It's tough. I mean, I definitely make it a point, KC, to try to be more active, engaged, because, people pay to be a part of the Discord. And part of that is getting some opportunity to, chit chat and shoot the shit with me and some of the fellow knights and your fellow community members. So I do try to be on there, but it can get some days, if we get some active people going, yeah, it's impossible to keep up with it. There's just too much. And we're a small community. We're only, less than 300 people, but very active community. So we'll say that. Yeah, all very good stuff. Let's see. Leo joined as a knight. Long time coming. And looking forward to what happens in your studio. Leo, well, you know what? We're always super honored and happy to have people aboard and joining us. All of our supporters, I've said it before a million times, all of our supporters are incredible, and without them we really wouldn't be able to do any of this. I been doing my taxes, and so I'm figuring out how much money I spent last year on this
Anonymous
YouTube channel.
$5. Shadow Dark hit 1 million Canadian dollars with another D&D clone. When is the Knights of Last OSR game come out?
Yeah, I was kind of ranting a little bit about that yesterday, I think, in our Patreon exclusive live stream. Not that I have nothing against Shadow Dark, whatever. It's just it's a very polished. This person has a little bit of cred. They know their marketing. They bent the right ears. They've got a nice little graphical presentation going on. But it's just another D20 fantasy heartbreaker. It's nothing special. It's literally just 6 stats, D20, roll high over DC. I mean, it's how many of these things do we need? I just don't get it. Warner Brothers said they wanted to make Lord of the Rings a franchise like Star Wars. Okay. Well, here's what as I understand it, here's the problem with that. Okay. The problem with that is, now that I think about it, I do remember seeing something about this. Yes. Okay. Let's be clear about a couple things. There's a lot of history to Lord of the Rings, and I think a lot of that history is very, very interesting. Unfortunately, some of the coolest stuff, which is most of the stuff that came out of the Silmarillion, is, to my knowledge, available to no one. The only thing that is available through the Tolkien estate is the stuff from the appendices, I think, and some of the other sort of side addendum and footnotes to the main book. So the core of the Silmarillion is unavailable. That being said, the Third Age is a very long age, and I think seeing, shows set in, things like, the war of Angmar, and, seeing the fall of, Arnor, the Northern Kingdom, and just like, I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be pretty neat. I think seeing all those time frames would be pretty cool to see. That being said, I've not seen Rings of Power, but I've seen people who I, respect, talk about the show. And that doesn't necessarily mean Discord members. It means like people who are like Lord of the Rings channels that I follow. And, I mean, the show seems like it's a very, very cool, stunning achievement for design and all that other stuff. And it seems like it's crazy that we live in such a world where I can be judgmental about, a Lord of the Rings film, but like, or show. And that, but like, whatever soul is in those movies, whatever soul is in that book, whatever messaging is in that book is just, totally and completely lost. And that's actually something that I think you mentioned Star Wars. I think that's something that, Star Wars, Star Trek, all of my favorite shows, all my favorite movies, all my favorite books, they're about something, and they use the medium of storytelling, of fantasy, of sci-fi in order to tell a story. But what they're really doing is they're teaching you something. They're showing you something. They're illuminating a facet of the human condition. And I feel like that aspect of that is just missing completely in most modern day media franchises. And I know that there's probably some exceptions out there, and people are like, oh, it's such a good TV show. I just, once bitten, 400 times shy, but I got bitten like 500 times, right? Like the shows just don't deliver. So while I think that's cool, and I think there's a lot of space in the Lord of the Rings franchise for some really awesome and amazing and great storytelling, storytelling has to be more than just cool characters doing cool shit with cool CGI. The story needs to have heart. It needs to have pathos. It needs to have something that it's trying to make a point about. It can't just be for entertainment. Or maybe that is what entertainment is, just facile, eye candy. And I don't want anything about it. I don't want to do anything with that. So anyways, that's what I think about that. Pellet Paul wondering what tunes I usually listen to when I vibe with something. Well, to be honest with you, Pellet Paul, I mean, I've been liking more jazz lately. I've been listening to more jazz. But traditionally, Pellet Paw, I love EDM. I love electric dance music. My favorite genre of EDM is trance. I love uplifting trance. I love euphoric trance. Armin van Buuren is the GOAT. I listen to A State of Trance every week, and I have for many years. I love trance music, and I always have it. One of my dreams is to go to like Ibiza or, go to one of those mega awesome shows over there in Europe. But I also like a lot of other types of music. I'm trying to think here. Actually, I have tickets for this summer to go see Paramore. They're coming to Cleveland, so that'll be fun. I don't really like their new album, but I love their old stuff. So, although I love their last album too, but this new album's a little sus. But we'll see. Okay, Shadram confirming they are limited to the third age. That's fine. Third age is a very long time. It's a very long time. Lord of the Rings is legit. I mean, the Lord of the Rings is very under monetized. There could be no doubt about that. KC talking about Shadow Dark here. Looks good and got the right 5e influencers to say nice thing about it. As long as they don't try to make it their own writers. Oh, that's you're talking about Lord of the Rings. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard amazing things about Andor, Greg. And I like that actor. And like I actually just saw. I think I saw Matt Colville had a tweet. I think he was retweeting or he was responding to a tweet about how people are like, I don't know anything about the show, but they were saying about like people are like hypothesizing / fanning over the fact that they think that somebody might be like force sensitive or a Jedi or something like that. And the idea that like it's not Star Wars without Jedi, which I just think is such horse shit. I think the Force and Jedi have very little to do with Star Wars. And I would respect the hell out of this show if it went its entire run, whatever that is, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, without so much as a force sensitive somebody. I don't know if that's maybe there already is someone who's force sensitive, but my hat's off to them if they just say fuck that. Kalamaka says that they did not like The Rings of Power, watched 2 episodes and stopped. It was just a show with Tolkien character names and a little more. And that's how I feel about a lot of modern franchises. I mean, that's not just The Rings of Power, people. That was also the Hobbit movies, all 3 of which were really bad. The first one, I can give a pass to, but the second Hobbit movies were horrible. Shadram says it'd be okay if they wanted to do a Fall of Arnor or the War with Angmar, but reading between the lines sounds like they're like trying to do more like okay. I mean, the life and times of Aragorn isn't the worst thing. Aragorn did a lot of really cool stuff, and seeing him struggle with his kinship and how he became the character that he wants to be, and his falling in love with Arwen. I mean, I wouldn't hate that if it was done well. People go to Cleveland on purpose, not often, but they do sometimes. Katy Perry unfollowing you right now. I love Katy Perry. I'm actually upset. I'm going to Vegas in 2 weeks. And she's been headlining there for like the last 2 years. And every time I am there, either it's one of the weekends where she's not performing or it's sold out. And I haven't been able to go. So, that's just I guess that's just how it goes. KC also loves Paramore. Good stuff. What's your favorite album, KC? Mine probably is maybe it's either like I actually like their first album, All We Know Is Falling. Riot, of course, is what a lot of people know the band. It's where they came to the band from. But I really like All We Know Is Falling, and I really like Brand New Eyes, which is their third album. Self-titled was okay. It was a little weird, but there were some good tracks on there. And then After Laughter, which I think had a very different sound. but I loved it. It didn't sound like Paramore, but I loved it anyways. And then this new album sounds like something else that's new, but this time they missed the mark with me. So anyways. I always say I want a KOTOR style RPG with no Force users. I actually played Knights of the Old Republic. Not the second one, but I played the first one. It's like one of the few BioWare one of the few Star Wars BioWare games that I ever actually played. It was okay. It was fun. I was kind of getting out of video games at the time. JG is also a Katy Perry fan. I mean, she's also fucking hot. She's just so good looking. So that helps, you know. I think she's married to Legolas, actually. She's married to Orlando Bloom. Okay, Selena Gomez is your Katy Perry. I can respect that. Selena's very cute. I'm more of an Ariana Grande fan myself. So what's up, Rich? My buddy here in chat. You probably played enough of pod racing back in the day, right? Oh man, I certainly did, sir. I certainly did. Frostjack wants to know what my company does. I can't tell you, Frostjack, or I'd have to kill you. But no, long story short, we're a data vendor company. We work in what's called the alternative data space. So, finding data sources that are publicly available on the internet and using them and capturing them and processing them and selling them to interested clients, which, could be anything from, Fortune 500 companies to hedge funds to, government work. So there's a lot of people who want to know what's going on out there with the data, and my company provides it. Maybe I can book Katy Perry for NightCon in Vegas. Oh, that would be amazing. Speaking of NightCon in Vegas, this road trip that we're going on is starting to sound more and more like it's going to be this crazy Knights meetup across the country. I'm starting to get a little nervous about how long this is going to take me to get across the country with this table. Hello, Knights. Hello, Mike. How you doing, sir? Frostjack also loves Paramore, and their favorite is Brand New Eyes, which is, I think, what KC said. Which is good. It's great. Fantastic album. KC says Brand New Eyes or self-titled. Both very good. Zerverus says, as a new member, can you tell me about the plans for Northern Reaches? Yeah, so Northern Reaches is an idea that kind of came out of our Discord last year. A bunch of people were playing community games where there was kind of like a round robin GM. Like there was no set GM. And so we said, hey, why don't we organize this and we'll structure this? And instead of all of you just playing these like kind of one-off games, why don't we put all the characters into one world and we'll kind of set some sandbox guidelines, but then we'll let the players and we'll let the GMs sort of build and develop, but everyone will be kind of playing in the same sandbox. You might carve out your own little section of the sandbox as a GM to build your own unique thing, but all the characters can, play in the sandbox. But like a real campaign, there's only one of something. So if there's some mystical, magical, super awesome hammer and you put it in your game and someone gets it, there's no copy of that. That's just the hammer. So it was kind of a cool experience, kind of like a best of both worlds between an MMO where you have all these cool players and all this interaction and this kind of grand scale of things. But sometimes in MMO, right, you kind of feel like, oh, well, this is fake, right? Like this is the 7th time I'm killing this boss. And, oh, I have this legendary sword taken from and so does he, and so does he, and so does she, and so does she. And so we wanted something that was kind of like an MMO, but with the cool parts of running your own personal home campaign. And anyways, it worked out really well. As a testament to how well it worked out, we planned initially for the highest level character to be level 10. And we had, I think, 5 characters reach level 20. A lot of people played a lot. They got really into it, which was a lot of fun, to see. So for season 2, we're launching it again. It's designed to be done in seasons. They typically start in the spring and they will finish in late fall, usually before Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving. And you have that, 6 or 7 months to, or more like 8 months to play and experience and level up your characters. Now, what makes this different than a lot of normal Pathfinder 2 games is we really embrace a lot of indie game mechanics in these systems. And as long as the players are driving action, we will allow them essentially to rewrite any of the rules. It's like playing Flux, but as a TTRPG. A character just started, getting people as a joke to follow him as a cult. And by the end of the season, he was literally a god. He ascended via the Starstone Isle to achieve a rank in the pantheon of Galarian. So, and that wasn't a plan that we had no plan for this whatsoever. So for season 2, we want to make sure we don't screw any of that up. But what we do want to do is make it a little bit easier to track and manage. And one of the big things in season 1 was time passed at a real rate. So every day that happened in the real world, a day would pass in the campaign world. And when you would go on an adventure, your character would be sort of locked out for a couple of days. Like if you went on an adventure on Monday, you might not be able to play again until Thursday. Or if you went on an adventure on Thursday or Friday, you might not be able to adventure until past the weekend. It was a little hectic and difficult for players to track. It was definitely difficult for us to track, and it created some wonky moments. So, for example, one of the things that we're going to be doing, similar to the 3-action economy in season 2, is there's a 3 campaign action economy. Basically, each week, your character gets your 3 actions, and you can use those actions to go on an adventure. You could use those actions to craft and build stuff. You can use those actions to develop the world. You can use those actions to do role-playing stuff. But how you spend those actions is sort of up to you. But it doesn't matter. There's no time lockout. You could, if you wanted to, you could adventure on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and those could be your 3 actions for the week. So it just puts a little bit more flexibility in the player's hands, and I think it's going to work out a little bit better. Sorry, my chat windows is a little lagged. Sometimes it happens. There we go, and it's catching up. If I could take off work, I would definitely go with you on a cross-country trip. Pretty much maxed out on PTO. Yeah, buddy, it's gonna be. Listen, it's gonna be tough for us too, but we're looking forward to it. New York isn't that far. It's just completely in the opposite direction, Mike. Flint asks, are there any rules for being a GM, a certain level on the Patreon, etc.? Flint, yes. In season 1, you had to be a knight. But for season 2, you have to be a champion. So you do have to be at the $10 a month level. And that's just to enter. And there's no other cash for anything. It's just at $10, you get access to the game. And if you want, you can play it, you can run it, you can play and run. We let our GMs also be players. There are some restrictions about where you can and can't play if you're a GM, because that way there's no spoiler alerts. Yeah, so that is the restriction. Let's see. Frostjack, I only joined like 6 weeks before the end, and I still managed to get to level 8. Yeah. So one of the things that we did there, like Frostjack was pointing out, is as the campaign advanced, the minimum starting level went up as well. Now, it was never going to be like, you were never going to be able to join the highest end tier content. But it did bring up the sort of the bottom, the back end. Actually, we are still working on it right now. But one of the rules that we are going to probably include, This has not really been officially announced here, but we are going to include some rules for what we are calling sidekicking and mentoring. And we are taking advantage of the fact that we are playing on a VTT, which is another thing that we try to do with Northern Reaches as often as we can. So the way that sidekicking and mentoring work, and again, the rules for this are still kind of forthcoming. Some of the consequences for this are still forthcoming, but basically a sidekicked character is temporarily upgraded in their level. Now, they don't get any of the feats. They don't get any new magic items. They don't get any of that stuff. But their level-based stuff gets increased to the level of the person who is sidekicking them. So you're effective. You're like a Pathfinder 2 character with kind of the right bonuses, but like none of the feats. So that's the way like sidekicking works. Mentoring is kind of the opposite. A mentoring character is a higher level character who reduces their level down, so their stats go way down, but they keep all of their feats, and they maybe keep some of their cool magical items. Now there are some restrictions to this because one of the things that we are, it's a big deal for me. Like I want the game to be fun and fair. That being said, winners are going to win and players are going to play. And I do not want to take anything away from anybody who is higher level. Is that unfair? Oh, someone's higher level and they get to do more cool stuff. Yep, that's the way it works. People who play more, people who invest more into the game, they get to have more fun. They get to do cooler things. So there's definitely Smith is our primary designer of Northern Reaches. Smith, huge Final Fantasy 14 fan and a huge Guild Wars 2 fan. So both of those concepts, they also come from EQ2, by the way. But yes, Guild Wars 2, I think, is a big source of this. Now, the whole reason that we included these mechanics isn't so that level is meaningless. Level is very much meaningful. But there were certain instances, and again, we're just kind of getting off on a Q&A here, but that's all we're going to do tonight anyways, we had these issues where, number one, look, we're not the biggest community in the world. We're not literally an MMO. Sometimes you need people to play. Sometimes you need 1 or 2 people to play. And someone says, I'm available, but I only have a level 4 character. And the adventure is level 7 or 8. And either that person was told, sorry, we won't take you. Or worse, in my opinion, people would say, yeah, whatever, I'll take, GMs would say, I'll take any levels. And this is Pathfinder 2. The math just doesn't work that way. You ended up having these level 8 characters, and there'd be like this level 2 or level 4 or something PC that was tagging along, and they're not really doing anything, and they can't do anything. They get to I don't know, be online and be in the be in Foundry and be chatting, which is sort of fun, but the mechanics of the game just don't allow them to contribute meaningfully, and that's like where it's kind of like, yeah, that that kind of sucks. And so like Flint says that's how you did it in the old days. Flint, you're absolutely right. And I love that, Flint. That's actually something I love about old D&D. The difference, Flint, is that old D&D, kind of like 5th edition, had very flat math. And so, a character that was 4 or 5 levels higher than you, their armor class might only be a couple of points higher than you because level didn't get added to your AC. And their attack bonus, like in 5th edition, a 7th level fighter and like a 2nd level fighter, like the attack bonus difference between the two of them might only be a couple of points. But in Pathfinder 2, you got 5 level difference plus a proficiency increase plus an item bonus. Like you might have an 8 or 9 point difference. And when you're talking about the tight margins of Pathfinder 2, it just doesn't work out. And so the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we allow, when people want to fill a session or they want to play and they're just not the right level, that there's a way that, because at the end of the day, one of the things that we really want to do is we want to let the players play. People are paying to be a part of this game. I mean, technically you're not paying to be part of the game. Technically you're paying to support the Knights of the Last Call and being an awesome patron. But as a reward for being at the $10 level, you get this benefit of being able to participate in the Northern Reaches if you so wish. That being said, if you're doing that, we want people to be able to play. And there were instances and times where there were people available to play, but they couldn't because the levels just didn't perfectly match up right. So this is a way that we can do this and allow people to to play more. It's also sort of a fun way to experience a new side of the game. Big part of Northern Reaches is seeing Pathfinder 2 in a different light. What would it be like to be a level 3 character, but have the feats and the magical items of a level 10 character, right? What would it be like to be a level, 9 wizard, but to only have, but to only have the spells and abilities and feats of a level 3 wizard, you better hope that you have some spell slots that heighten well to your new spell slots, because you won't actually have any. You won't have any spells in your spell book. You won't have any spells in your repertoire that you could cast at that high level. You'll be like, I guess I'm going to take a lot of fear spells and magic missiles. And so, anyways, it's a whole concept of experimenting with the way that the game is going to be structured and sort of play out. So, let's see here. Frostjack asked, how will ability scores and item bonuses work for sidekicks? I'm sure Smith. One of the reasons that we don't have a Northern Reaches guide out yet is because Smith does his due diligence. If you've followed any of the, season 1, you know that there was a campaign guide, a GMG guide, which I wrote, but Smith published, a campaign guide, a GMG guide, a Northern Reaches guide, a Desolation guide, a Northport guide. So Smith definitely does his due diligence, and he's working on it. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I suppose, our company, he's very important to our company. I'm not. And so he's been super, super busy. And so, it takes some time to get it right. But yeah, we're going to try to make it so that it doesn't suck. And if it sucks, we'll fix it. We'll tweak it. I mean, we're not Blizzard here, we'll do it. Pumpkin likes the sound of mentoring and sidekicking. Will be a decent test for the theory that a character with no feats is 90% as good as a fully developed character. KC, okay, yes, because remember, one of the other things that I like to do with Northern Reaches is I like to use it as like a testing lab, right? As a petri dish to see how the game can function and change under these really kind of strange circumstances. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how the game operates under that modus. So yes, I'm definitely aware of that and definitely thinking of that exact thing when we're sort of thinking of these ideas. I had a second edition character who gave up 4 levels just to prove a point, sort of, and I loved it. Well, Callimachus, you kind of did that with dual classing, right? If you were a human and you were like level 13 and everybody else in your party was still really low level, you could like dual class down into a new class and sort of be lower level, but you got to keep your hit point total. It's kind of sweet, actually. Only humans could do that, but it was kind of sweet. Kragan, will there be something where people can play beyond their 3 actions a week if a session needs players, maybe without rewards? Well, Kragan, yes and no. Yes and no. So this is probably going to be the most everyone nods and says, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or everyone's going to say, I don't know if I like that. But the way it's going to work is, so let's first, whenever I do a house rule, I'm always thinking, what is the problem that I am trying to, solve? What is the thing that I am trying to resolve? Here's the problem I had. And it wasn't a problem, but here's the problem I had. In season 1, Northern Reaches, you could be a knight and you paid $5 a month, or you could be a champion and pay $10 a month, or you could pay a hero and be $25 a month, and you get to play Northern Reaches. Now it was kind of first come, first serve, and we had a lot of people upgrade, and as the campaign went on, which was amazing, and we had a lot of people who stayed at night. And they played the shit out of that game, or they were champions and they played the shit out of that game, and they got a lot of value from that game. Now, I am not complaining about that. That was the game. They played it. And in many cases, that's great because they were providing a body. But there were some people who, because they were playing so often, were, paying less than $1 per week, essentially, to play 4 or 5 games of Pathfinder 2. I'm okay with that. I actually don't care about that. I only care about it when there's only a limited number of games. There's only a limited number of GMs. Yes, sometimes we were running 2 or 3 games each day, but 20 games a week weren't uncommon towards the end. But you can only be in so many games. And I didn't want there to be an inequity between how much people were participating and how much people were playing. I'm okay with people playing a lot. I really am. But that pool of games, that pool of sessions is limited. And I don't want someone who is contributing more to the channel to be excluded from that. So, what does that mean? Well, what it means is players in Northern Reaches are going to have the ability to use tickets, which are going to be part of our new Patreon reward system, to essentially, you can spend tickets to basically gain an extra action in a campaign week. Think of it like Quicken 1 or something like that, or Quicken 2. What this means is if you are a hero and you have extra tickets around and Northern Reaches is what you care about and you want to play more than and do more than 3 actions a week, you totally can. And that's what your tickets are going to be for. And that's how you can spend them. And you can get all the advantages that come with sort of the convenience advantages. Now, tickets you can't buy a level up. You can't buy a cool item. That doesn't work like that. But if somebody is playing the game more, then we want them to be participating more. Now, keep in mind, I keep saying participating. That doesn't mean just paying money. It could be if you're lazy and you just want to pay money, and I am okay with that. Derek Melenda, KOLC LLC is fantastic with you. Thank you for supporting the channel. You are amazing. But we have a lot of people who just GM a lot. And in the Northern Reaches, as well with any of our games, it doesn't have to be inside of Northern Reaches. If you go and run a Avatar Last Airbender game, you are going to get tickets.
Rick has tipped $25
for playing.
Shipping in to help keep the lights on.
Thank you, Rick. You already do more than enough to keep the lights on there, sir. Appreciate all of that. Appreciate the tip. Appreciate the incredible gesture. Thank you so very much for that. Lights are well and truly on. Thank you. So Rick S, part of the infamous Hatchet Hoff assassination squad. So long story short, if we have somebody who's paying a lot of money, I'm okay if they get to, have some cooler looking tokens in Northern Reaches. If they get to maybe do an extra craft action a week, or an extra shopping action a week. But if someone's a GM and they're running a bunch of games all over the server and they're getting tickets from doing that, then I'm good with that person also taking a bigger bite out of what Knights of Last Call has to offer, because they are giving into the community. They're taking from the community, which is fine, but they are also giving back to the community. So I'm okay with them. If they want to, they can take a little bit more. I mean, the plan is for you to feel like, oh man, there's so much I want to do with my tickets. I want to do cool stuff in Northern Reaches. I want to join, this, Derek has a 10-slot night school workshop. Oh, they just came out with a new line of hoodies. They just came out with a cool beer stein. Oh, cool. Derek's running a Blades in the Dark game. I want you to feel like I don't have enough tickets, and no one is going to be able to do everything. That kind of is the whole point of this. So anyways, that's kind of a long rant there, but sorry about that. This is the stuff that normally would only be for patrons, but this is just what we're doing with our Patreon at Knights of Last Call. So if you're interested, link in the description below. Sorry about that. Flint asks, can a higher level character play in a lower level game? Yes, that is more restricted, Flint. But remember, they would literally get de-leveled. So if you were level 10, you would change your character's level to 3. You wouldn't lose your feats, but you would lose your high level spell slots. You would lose your level, and all that other stuff, though. Awesome says, I was going to say the second one sounds horrible, but then I realized you were talking about spells known in repertoire and not spell slots. Correct. Awesome. That's exactly right. It'll be interesting to see how it plays.
North of Reaches Season 2. If you don't work, you don't eat.
I mean, yeah. I mean, but also, by the way, now we are raising the bar. Okay, I did the math. Okay, again, we're going to Gen Con this year. I haven't been since 2019. I went for 15, 16, 17 years straight, and then boom, I haven't been since 2020 was COVID. 2021 was kind of still basically COVID, and then 2022 we were gonna go, but we couldn't get a hotel room. So I'm going this year, and at Gen Con, events are running blocks. And they're like 2-hour blocks, 4-hour blocks, or 6-hour blocks. And the default generic price per hour block is $2. So if I want to go play in a 4-hour game, I have to get a ticket, or I have to pay with 4 generic tickets. The value of each generic ticket is $2. So you're paying $8 to play in the game for 4 hours. That's on top of the $120 badge that you bought. And that's on top of the flight or the car ride or the hotel, and the fact that it only exists for 4 days and then it's over. We had some people, and you go onto like some of these websites, it's like some people are charging $25 per player, or $35 per player per session to run a game for them. So, we had people who were, literally paying a quarter or a nickel to play like a full session of Pathfinder 2. Which is great. So, but we think we're worth a little more than that. So we are raising the bar from $5 to $10. But to be clear, at $10, you get access to Northern Reaches. You get your 3 actions per week, which is more than enough to play and go on multiple adventures every week. Some people don't even have enough time to put into Northern Reaches. Maybe they want to, but they can't. And that's it. I will never. You do not need these tickets. You do not require these tickets. You are totally content. Just play the game more or less the exact same way that you played it in season 1. You just have to be at the $10 level. That's all. KOLC undermonetized. Shake it. It's impossible for KOLC to be undermonetized because whatever I make, I just put back into the channel. So if we made more money, I would just spend more money on the channel. So Bob and Aaron are, by the way, are completely serious, where they want to get, I think they really do want to get like lazy boys or like recliners or couch for the studio so that we can have a nice setup for movie night. So, and also somehow now I have to buy like a big screen TV so we can mount it on the wall so that when we live stream, we'll watch fantasy movies and shit on Bob or whatever for his bad takes, that we have a nice movie screen to watch it on. This is all coming out of KOLC bank account, right? So the more I make, the more I spend. I mean, that's just the way it is. Happy to do it. Unfortunate Pumpkin talking about the incredible design of In Profit. Yes, awesome job, incredible job, but not everybody's In Profit, and quite frankly, I don't expect everybody to have to put that much time and effort into making sure a game could be run that way. And generally speaking, I'd like to see things a little bit closer in level. I was actually against in season 1. I was kind of against a lot of the times when the low level characters would tag along. It felt like it was, not only was it felt like it was boring, it felt like it was kind of a cheap way to gain a lot of experience points real quick. Bernardo, sorry, buddy. I'm behind. I'm 8 minutes behind here on the chat. Hey. Welcome, Bernardo. Glad to see you. This is not about play-by-post, although we do have a pretty thriving play-by-post channels in our Discord nowadays. It's pretty cool. Yeah, PvP was awesome. I think everyone really enjoyed the arena. I thought that was really great.
Shadram tipped $15. Here's 1% of a lazy boy for the studio.
Appreciate it. Thank you very, very, very much. Listen, between your contributions here on the channel and your contributions to the Patreon, we're actually making a little bit of money. Especially when we have a great month. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Tips really determine. I mean, Patreon pays the bills, right? We've got our studio rent, we've got internet bills, we've got bills for all of our servers and our services. Patreon is great at making sure that we don't run into the negative. Basically, all of our play money, all of our fun money, basically really comes from the tips. So thank you so much for that. Definitely appreciate it. I am the chosen one. I bring balance to the books. Without me, the channel might profit. Like if Bob was in charge of this channel, guys, we'd be making $10,000 a month. He'd cut corners and he'd upcharge you on everything. It'd be great. Half your XP and Northern Reaches came from double XP games. And I'm not against the idea of like people getting a bonus for playing in a game like that. But I think there were, I don't want to say it was abused, but there were definitely instances where I think it was a little bit, it just felt a little cheap. But speaking of play by post, did you guys end up integrating the RPG stage of the Discord? No, I forgot. Oh my God, I'm horrible. Yes, no, I forgot. I need to get him in there. It's a great RPG Sages is a great bot, and I need to get it in there. And I really like the guy too. He was really, really nice, and I need to get it in there. So, super nice, super sweet guy too. So, what's the over under on how many all blanks ranked we'll be able to guilt trip Derek into doing? Well, Kragan, I mean, obviously, number one, we are going to finish up archetypes, and then we are going to start with my bookshelf ranked. So we're going to be doing that. My thoughts on all my games that I own. So looking forward to that.
GM Scott tipped $25.
Hey, yo.
One cannot live on lazy boys alone. Here's 10% of a mini fridge.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Well, there you go, GM Scott. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah. By the time this is done, this thing is going to be like a certified bachelor pad. It's going to be nice. Plus, really, you know, you're helping me out because, I mean, the plan is eventually for me to buy a new house, but I hate all houses, and they're all so expensive. And I've been wanting to buy one for like, I should have bought one 5 or 6 years ago, and that would have made sense now, but like the prices are so high and the interest rates are so high. But the plan is to eventually buy a house that's big enough, even though it's just me, I don't have kids or anything, but to buy one and then be able to put the studio into the game, you know, into the house, I should say. All right, Ben, enjoy your miseries and misfortunes. I cannot wait to read this after action report. This is going to be chef's kiss. Cannot wait for it. That'll be sweet. Good luck, Ben. Flint said we should, you know what? Bob was talking about a March Madness bracket face-off of different systems. I don't know. If we want to do that, Bob can do that. That's his deal. Oh, for sure, Mike. I mean, that's a big reason I want to change the setup. I mean, I'm paying close to $1,500 a month to have a separate studio space, which isn't all that big, and paying separate, and I get nothing. It's rent. It's just being thrown down the garbage drain. I pay 2 internet bills. I pay the internet here. I pay the internet bill at the studio, right? I pay an extra utility bill up at the studio. So I pay kind of an extra insurance up at the studio. So me moving all that stuff into my home makes a lot more sense. But unlike a lot of YouTubers, you know, I have like an actual studio. So I can't just, you know, shoot in my spare bedroom. I need like a dedicated space, like a big basement with tall ceilings, or like a really big garage that I can sort of, you know, kit out, or something that I can turn into a space. Kragan, was there a spreadsheet of stats from Northern Reaches Season 1? Actually, Kragan, we do have a ton of stats from Northern Reaches Season 1. We are going to be doing a special presentation within the next, I think we're gonna do it next Tuesday. I don't know if it's going to be Patreon exclusive or not. So if you're not a Patreon member, people, and you want to know Northern Reaches classes there were, but yes, we're going to be doing a special thing called the Reachies, which is a joke on, you know, award like the Oscars or the Tonys. And we're basically just going to be like going over the stats and like giving shout outs to the people who contributed the most, and you know, who killed the most characters, who played the most times without dying, like all sorts of just fun facts and fun stats and fun stuff. I will tell you this, Kragan, I want to say that we had over 170 PCs in season 1. And yes, there were 0 inventors. Now, to be fair, guns and gears did not get unlocked. In other words, inventor and gunslinger could not be taken as classes at the beginning of the season. That didn't get unlocked until later in the season when the group built up a bunch of steamwork mechanics in the town so that we could do that stuff. But that didn't stop there from being a good number of gunslingers. But there were still 0 inventors. Yeah. Yes, 2 of the level 20 guns. That's very true. 2 of the level 20. Remember how I said that there was only like 5 or 6 PCs that got to level 20? Yeah, 2 of them were gunslingers, which meant they started late in the season. So good times. So yeah, looking forward to it. Kalamaka's talking about the Leomund spells. Leomund's secret chest. I miss that stuff. It sounds stupid, but that's like one of the things I miss the most about D&D over Pathfinder 2. Is like, I like it being called, Melf's acid arrow, Tensor's floating disc, Big B's grasping hand. Like, it's a fun thing for me. Fun fact about Tensor. Tensor is just an anagram of Ernest, aka E. Gary Gygax. His first name is Ernest. Tensor's just an anagram of his first name. Yeah. But same thing. There's one of the other Circle of 8 was Draw Mij. You might have seen it as Draw Mij's instant summons. It's a spell if you look it up. And Draw Mij is just Jim Ward spelled backwards. Who was, one of the original OG people. Good times. Anyways, fun stuff. Any questions? I've sort of been kind of going off on random tangents and rants. And I'll stop if anybody does have a question. But, Kragan says, I will say regarding the studio, I became a patron because of the dedication to audiovisual quality. Since that's a huge pet peeve of mine with content creators, Kragan, I honestly believe that the only reason we were successful is because we came out of the gate with a attempt to put good mics and good sound quality. We had great, okay audio quality, okay video quality, but our audio quality, I think, was always a lot better than most. And I think that people can forgive a lot of bad video. I think audio makes it just painful to listen to. And so I definitely, I think a lot of people I did the same. I think a lot of people, cared that we cared. And I do care. I care about the product that this, channel produces. And it's important to me that we create cool, fun, exciting videos that I'm going to be proud to have, with my name attached to for the foreseeable future of the internet. Yeah. Even if that channel ends, I guess Knights of Last Call will be out there in Internetville forever. I came and stayed for the suave hair. Yes. Luckily, fingers crossed, I have not started to lose my hair. It's definitely going gray here and there. It's definitely got the salt and pepper look to it, but the hair has remained. I actually need to get a haircut. Shadram says, 100% only content I can listen to for long periods is KOLC and the Glass Cannon, both of whom have said the audio quality was a top priority for day one, and that is exactly right. Did Ben do my intro and outro music? Zervis, no, not for this channel, for this show. But if you watch our night school programs, Ben did the intro and outro for night school. Ben also did the intro and outro for the late night show, which is our podcast. So those were both custom creations from Ben. This, our generic live stream introduction is through my Epidemic Sound subscription. It is a song called Rain Check by Dylan Stitz or Dylan Stidda or something like that. But the name of the track is called Rain Check. And by the way, fun Knights of Last Call fact. When I first started doing live streams on this channel, I would go for 2 hours, and I was using a epidemic playlist of copy. I paid money. It's not copyright free because you have to pay money. It was like sort of smooth beats, lo-fi beats. And I would put this playlist on and I would just hit play. But because our shows were always 2 hours long, it always basically worked out that the same song would hit at the same moment. And it just so happened that this song, Rain Check, would always play right around the 2 hour mark when I was starting to sign off. And I liked it, and I just liked the way that it had a groovy tune to it, a very kind of low, kind of relaxed and vibing. And I thought it was a good outro and intro music. And because it kept playing, I just said, I'm just going to make that the song for the live stream. And so that's how that became the live stream. Yeah. Anyways, good stuff. Frostjack says, it's hilarious that the first episode of Rise of the Rune Lords has better audio visual than the first episode of Critical Role. Well, I mean, I guess they were actors, but I think at the time they weren't really doing anything professional. To be fair, we did have an advantage, Frostjack, which was our first episode of Knights of Last Call happened in my photography studio. I was a professional photographer who had no clients because it was the middle of the COVID pandemic, and literally, shut down by governmental orders and whatnot. And nobody was coming to my business anyways. So I literally had a studio full of professional lighting gear, professional cameras, and I had invested in reasonably good microphones early because I thought, you know what, I might be able to use my studio space as a way to make extra money is to have people come in and do podcasting. I wasn't really so much interested in doing it for myself, but I learned a little bit so that I could help people set it up. And that's kind of why we kind of had that leg up, is because I literally had another business that was failing, but that was able to sort of support that. I'll just let everybody read that one. But yeah, that's pretty funny. They're like, wait a second, this is not edgy at all. KC, I think a lot of people are really interested about that. I mean, I know that some of our most long time supporting patrons really miss some of those old videos. And to be honest with you, I miss them too. I love getting around and shooting the shit about role-playing games. I love getting to do it with you all through the chat. Now, it's not ideal because, it's chat. But, I really love that. I just cannot stress this enough. If you're making a YouTube channel, listen up. Advice for the future YouTuber. Editing videos is horrible. And if you're going to make videos and they're going to be longer than 5 or 10 minutes, you really got to think twice, because you're going to put a lot of effort into editing videos that are that long. And I don't know how much, value you're really going to be able to get out of it in terms of, especially if you care about things like the algorithm or views. And so all of our nightlife episodes were so much fun, but they were very long and there was a lot of talking, a lot of back and forth. So I prefer live. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. I think for me and my guests, I think it's a little bit, it's kind of exciting. Okay, we're live, it's very exciting. So I love the idea of doing what we're doing right now, but we're doing it up at the studio. I've got Bob, I've got Aaron, right? I've got, some of our other Knights related people hanging out with us. I have you chatting and us talking about your chats as a group, and it's all live. And it's not VOD, it's not pre-recorded. You can ask a question, we will answer it. And then maybe somebody calls into our studio. We patch you into our soundboard. We're all on headphones. We can hear you. The audience at home that's watching the live stream can hear you. And you join us like a call-in, long-time listener, first-time caller. That, to me, I think is going to be so fun. I don't know if it'll be successful, KC, but I think it'll be fun. And that's kind of all I really care about. I heard Nick is coming back for Root. Any chance Tim or Matt are going to swing by from time to time? I hope so. I definitely hope so. Tim and Matt are fantastic. The main problem that Tim and Matt have is Nick, Aaron, Bob, myself. We all live probably about less than 10 minutes from the studio. Tim and Matt kind of live on the other side of town. And when we go live, it's on a weekday. And so, driving through potentially rush hour traffic, 45 minutes, hour 15, just to get there. And then, be doing the thing for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Then have to drive home, and you've got your, work the next day, kids. That's, it's harder for Matt and Tim. It always was. And so that's one of the reasons why it's been difficult for them sometimes. Flint says more Night School, please. I talked about that yesterday, about how I want to do more Night School. I think it's a fantastic show, fantastic program. Never really got a lot of good views, Flint. I'll be honest with you. People just didn't seem to care about it as much. And, I'm not saying I respond to the views, but I watch what people are watching, and talking about with my patrons. And it just wasn't something that got talked a lot about. I don't know. Maybe I did it wrong. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments about how we could do it better. Isn't the YouTube economy built on like 10-minute videos or so? I think less than that, Kraken. Nowadays, it's built on the shorts economy. 57 minutes. Oh, 6 to 8 minutes. Okay. I joined you guys over the weekend, building your studio. Loved it. Doormat, well, I'm glad you enjoyed the smooth jazz of the Night's of Last Call, taking you away from your day-to-day drearies on a smooth jazz weekend here at 104.7 The Nights. I mean, listen, if they wanted to, that we might get couches. I mean, maybe someone could sleep on the pullout. I don't know. Thank you for the subscription, Doormat. Night School has been invaluable for me as a new-ish GM. I mean, part of my philosophy, part of my problem is like a lot of other YouTube channels. And to be fair, I think this is what the audience wants. The audience, I was just ranting about this the other day in the Discord channel. Not about YouTube, but just about people who nobody wants to really actually learn how to do something or how to get an answer. They just want the answer. And I get it. Sometimes that's me as well. Like I don't need to know how, that's not true. I almost always want to know how something works, but it's like, okay, I don't need to know how, this electrician is doing something in my wall. I probably would want to know, but like, I'm going to pay them and they're going to do it. And then we're going to be out of it. And I think that's true for a lot of people in TTRPGs. People just want to be told, right? What is best? What feat should I take? What class is best? Or what class would do this for me? Or, and that might sound power gamey and munchkin-y, but it can also even be true for people who are very role play heavy. A lot of people don't stop to think about why you're making these decisions and why you're making the choices that you're making them. And I always say this with our rating streams that I don't give a shit about the rating. You could disagree with the rating. The rating almost is kind of a meaningless, I'm quoting one of my favorite podcasts here, Limited Resources. The rating is just a period at the end of a long sentence. The sentence is what matters. Explaining why I think something is good or bad, other than just my personal preference. Yes, there's always going to be personal bias into any decision or opinion that I have. But for me, it's more about explaining to you why the mechanical process of how I arrive at an opinion or a conclusion. And you could disagree with that. I just want you to think. I just want you to, learn how to approach RPGs from a very deliberate. I want you to play these games deliberately. I want you to approach them with intention. I want you to have goals. I want you to have, achievable, measurable, reasonable expectations about what you want this game and what you want this game system, what you want this campaign, what you want this adventure, what you want this gaming group, how you want those things to deliver a certain type of experience to you. I think too many people treat TTRPGs very willy-nilly and just like And they just show up and they never stop to ask themselves, like, why? Or could we be doing something different? Or could we be doing something better? And they never engage in that self-introspection, which I just think is so critical. Yeah, good stuff. Krogan giving some love here. I do love the discussion that goes on with KLC. Some content creators feel like they just read the book on camera and call that a guide. Right. And here's the thing, Krogan. I actually like it when people disagree. I don't care if I don't want people to agree with me. I could completely, totally be wrong, but just give me your reason. Don't give me some emotional knee jerk, just like, oh, he doesn't like something that I like. That's not an argument. You know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Yeah, but that doesn't make them good. Right? Some people are experts. Some people have experience and knowledge and training and a methodical scientific approach. Other people are just hot taking. We're all allowed to speak. That's freedom of speech. But do I think that those opinions are the same? No, I think one's garbage and I think one has some validity and I think you should listen to it. Even if you don't agree with it. I'm not saying you have to agree with it. In fact, you can listen to it and have it change nothing about the way that you approach or play a game. But I want to know that you've at least listened and you've at least thought about it. And if you've done that, then I'm happy. I've succeeded. Doormat says, I like being told. The boss tells me I need to be more assertive. But then I also explain why after. So I understand better. Like an email, start with what I need, and then the next paragraph why I need it. Yeah, I mean, that works for you, and it's okay. Sometimes people like people to be a little bit more direct and make sure that expectations are clearly laid out. And you know what, Doormat, when it comes to something like your job, that's probably a great idea for sure. But you could do that, by the way, in a tabletop role-playing game. Be assertive. Make sure we are clearly communicating what it is that we are doing here. KC says, sounds like my players. They created their characters entirely based around build videos. I hate builds. Anyway, they don't care about understanding the design. They just want to learn enough to build a useful character. Yep, that's exactly right. It's really sad to me too. When I see people engage with video games, I don't really play video games anymore, but like before they've even played the game, they're like looking up a strategy guide because they're like, well, I want to have a good build from the start. And it's like, isn't that process of discovery? Isn't that process of experimentation? Isn't that what makes the game so much fun? Apparently it is not not for everybody, at least. I was shocked to learn that isn't something that just people love. It's like there's this idea of like people are like, well, I mean, I want to beat the game and beat it correctly and get 100% complete the first time I ever play it. It's like, and I'm willing to, rob myself of that process of discovery in order to sort of, I don't know. I don't know what emotion you're trying to assuage there. Is it narcissism? Is it an inferiority complex? Like you don't want to struggle? Maybe it's a power fantasy. Maybe you struggle in real life and you have an inferiority complex. Is this an opportunity for you to demonstrate your superiority over something? I don't know. It's interesting. I see it in TTRPGs too. I was talking about video games, but I see it in TTRPGs as much, if not more. Zolgathor says, I kind of feel like that when I see Nonat's channel. I feel like emotions and hot takes. And I think Nonat once would tell you he's an emotional guy. And he likes, his hot takes. And that's very popular. I mean, he's got way more views, way more subs than me. And he's creating content that the people want to watch. I can't hate on that, I hate the player, not the game. And I don't even hate the player. So that being said, we do have a super chat goal down there, folks. Apparently, Nonat1s, aka Brogan, I didn't know this was his name, has a cameo. For those of you who don't know what cameo is, you pay money to a celebrity, and then the celebrity will like wish your friend a happy birthday, and they'll like send you a video of it, and then you can play that video for your friend, and I don't know, Brad Pitt or something. I don't know, probably not Brad Pitt, but like maybe some like B or C tier celebrity that wants to make a couple quick $100 from their phone, right? And so they literally get a notification on their phone, and they go, hey, what's going on, Steve? Just want to say happy birthday from, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Keep it real. And that's it. And like you pay $500 for that. Anyways, No Nat Ones has one of these. And I was like, I wonder if I could get him to do a cameo for the Knights and then put it, RPG! Onto our soundboard or something. And I get him to say something that just No Nat Ones would never say. And can I use the power of capitalism and the lure of money that we are all under the gravimetric pull of to convince him to do something dangerous and otherwise out of character for him? So I think it'd be really great. Oh, London. That is literally one of the first things we looked up like that long ago. We made a decision, by the way, London. I contacted him directly to ask him if he would do that. But we made the decision, if Ryan George ever did cameo, even if it was like $200 for Pathfinder Meth is tight, we would pay it. We would pay it. We would just pay it. That was a decision made almost immediately with very little thought. Let's see. Zolgathor likes hanging out with us. Well, Zolgathor, we like hanging out with you. Happy you're here. Hot taking is like top decking. You might get a good draw, but you're out of gas. Nice little Magic the Gathering. By the way, bad beat story. Saturday. We normally I don't get to play much Magic the Gathering. I'm not really playing competitively anymore, and I don't really play on Arena much of it all. But my group of friends who are pretty, hardcore Magic the Gathering players, they've been to multiple pro tours and all this other stuff. They get together every Friday up at our local game shop and they team draft. And I'm not going to get into the details of it, but needless to say, it's like playing Magic the Gathering for money. And they weren't able to do it last Friday, and we were up at the studio, so it was no big deal. But they got together on Saturday instead, and I went and I joined them, and I went 0-4 in a draft. It's been so long since I have gone no wins in a draft. I was embarrassed. It ruined my whole day. Honestly, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. We got a super chat coming in from the Unfortunate Pumpkin. Says that they love the idea. Let's go. No nat cameo tip goal. Listen, I liked A&T. That was fun. I used to play with, when I first learned to play Magic, A&T was still a thing. Not for very long, but it was the mid-90s. I started playing Magic like 95. I think it came out in 93 or 94, but like revised edition was out by the time I started really playing Magic. That's not a bad one, GM Scott. Just great RPGing, Derek. Kevin from The Office makes like $2 million a year off a cameo. That's like the perfect example of some C-tier celebrity who can make a killing off of cameo. That's not so cool. I don't want to be mean about it though, Damien. I'm legitimately giving the guy money, right? I did that for my wife. She's a fan of West Wing and had Joshua Molina ask her to be her running mate in 2024. Joshua Molina. Oh, Will Bailey. Oh, Will Bailey was all right. I miss Sam Seaborn. I could go on a long rant about West Wing and how it's like pretty much the best show ever created in television history, even if it did get a little bit worse when Aaron Sorkin left. But KC says, my friend loves to use Cameo. Got the Sea-Doo guy from Tiger King to make fun for me. Yeah, no, listen, that's awesome. I mean, it's a cool, fun, dumb service. But I think it's great. GM Scott also tipping $10. I thought you were going to start your own Cameo service. No. I'm not going to do that. But that is I noticed he had it. I was on his Twitter page, or he tweeted something. I clicked on it. I went to ended up on his Twitter page, I think, and then there was a tweet that he had. It says, "By the way, I have a cameo," and I thought, "Is this exploitable?" So, chaos game at the library. Oh man, that is old school right there, my friend. Actually, that guy right there, in chat, SC Voldo, my buddy Rich. For all I know, I could have become one of the great Magic the Gathering players of all time, but he beat me so horribly badly during what would later become known as Combo Winter, when Urza's Saga came out, and there were just busted decks everywhere in the format. This gentleman was playing some of them, and he would just destroy me so badly that I basically gave up Magic and didn't play it again for like 8 years or something. It's pretty crazy. Maybe 10 years. I don't know. It's a long time. That's how you know you beat someone really bad, when they just give up the game entirely. I'd love to do some Commander or pre-DH games with some folks in the Discord, or some draft. Yeah, I think that'd be fun too. I'm worried about crossing the streams a little bit. I know most people are here for TTRPG content. Obviously, I have a lot of interest in other things, but I don't want to upset people too much. But I mean, it would always have to be like a secondary type thing. Flint Fireforge is in for the cameo. Awesome. $5. We're halfway there. That is fantastic. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Purple GM coming in with a $20. I know you don't play Arena, but I do, and Shadows over Innistrad Remastered is out soon, and the community is convinced that they will not put Emrakul in it because they cannot program it to control your opponents. That seems possible. There are some card designs, Purple GM, that people I've started noticing in some of the new sets, and you look at it and it seems really, really strange about why it works that way, and you start to realize that, they are writing the cards this way because it's going to make it easier to program into Arena. And so literally the digital card game is affecting the way that they are doing card templating. And that doesn't surprise me one bit, at all. So I would believe that. That being said, you can always play it on Moto. What is your favorite Magic the Gathering edition, and why is it Legions? Well, Legions was pretty sweet. For those of you keeping track of score, Legions as the first and only set in Magic the Gathering history to have no spells in it whatsoever. It's only creatures. I like Morph. Morph's a fun mechanic, but it is not my favorite Magic the Gathering set. What is my favorite Magic the Gathering set? Probably either Theros or Khans of Tarkir. It probably was Khans of Tarkir. Shadram, enjoy your meeting. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate having you here. Hopefully you have yourself a nice little, the late fall there in New Zealand. New Phyrexia. I wasn't playing when New Phyrexia came out. I kind of missed all that. It's just the nature of the beast, Purple GM. Yeah, it's true. It is true. I mean, it is the most complex game that's ever been created ever. And so being able to put it onto, a digital game or whatever system is problematic at times. And, it's difficult. Awesome. Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. Purple GM, Urza's Saga for sure. Maybe Mirrodin also. Yeah, Mirrodin. I did play Mirrodin. I came back for a little while in Mirrodin. I actually like Mirrodin block. I didn't like Kamigawa block. And so when Kamigawa came out, I got back out of Magic because I just didn't like Kamigawa. Start of autumn. Not that we had much of a summer. Womp, womp, womp. Purple GM started on cons. It was so great. Amazing limited. Awesome stand. Siege Rhinos everywhere. I love Siege Rhino. I'm sure if you go online and you type Derek Melenda Magic the Gathering deck list, you'll see at least a couple of decks that I don't know, top something, top 16, top 32 to tournament with some Siege Rhinos in there. I played a lot of Siege Rhinos for the 2 years or so that it was standard legal. A lot of that. Bernardo, question. Somebody using the question tag. Bernardo, Waysome. Awesome. Thank you. By the way, before I answer Bernardo's question, I just want to say something. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Supporting our tip goals. love it, appreciate it. I can't say it enough that your generosity is what just makes everything possible. We don't get views, so if it wasn't for your support, this channel would not exist. And it's because I'm an unlikable son of a bitch, but you all stick around to see me suffer, so that's good. Let's see here. Bernardo asks, am I the only one who feels that a lot of OSR games are basically the same with minor tweaks? Bernardo, I was complaining about this at the beginning of the stream. No. In fact, it is disappointing how often these things are just, hey, here's another D20 roll high, 6 stat. Here's armor class. Here's your attack roll. It's class based. It's level. It's like, it's not class based. It uses 2 classes and 3 classes instead of 10 classes. It's still class based. They're all basically the same thing. And they just add in one little extra thing or tweak. So, oh, my game doesn't have death saving throws like 5th edition, which is for kids. My game, you just die. And it's like, my game is so hardcore. I'm going to give it some sort of name like Shadow Death, Bringer End of Time. Like, it's like, this new OSR, the new old school renaissance, some of it's running me the long way. Some of it's starting to feel a little bit like a money grab. And, that doesn't make me happy because I remember like when Osric came out and, like Labyrinth Lord and, Black Hack, White Hack, like those were like, those were trying to do something.
Lollipop
I love
candy tip
I loved
$10 table trip funds.
Thank you very much for everybody here. Everybody here who's coming out tonight, supporting us, tipping, getting those tip funds filled up. Thank you for filling up. This is, by the way, the 3rd road trip fund. Each $250 goal is another day that the Knights can spend on the road trip as we quest across the country to hopefully meet some of our adoring public and fans, but also more importantly, to deliver a table to one laughing outlaw who lives in, of course, San Diego, California. So this is for Lollipop, but it's also for everybody tonight who came out and supported the goals. Horizon Thunder Sphere! All right. The one that never gets heard, which is a shame, is the Inner Radiance Torrent, because that one gets us copyright struck claim because I put on hardcore death metal behind the Inner Radiance Torrent, and we got copyright struck because I played 5 seconds of some Scandinavian death metal band and somebody owns the rights to it somewhere on the internet. Anyways, but as much as I like Horizon Thunder Sphere, I kind of like Inner Radiance Torrent Scream better. And if you've not seen that, that's old school Knights of Last Call right there, baby. Well, I appreciate the help, Purple GM, and thank you for being a fan of the show. Thank you for coming out. Thank you. Just even your money is awesome, and I appreciate it. God knows how difficult it is for anyone to make a living these days, but your time, your companionship, your thoughts, your ideas are worth far more to me. So always happy to have everybody here. And, I appreciate each and every single one of you that gives even a few dollars. But even if you're just here and you're participating and you're being part of this community and you're hanging out with us, like that is that's the real gift. You the real MVP. Neo old school. You thought you were old school? This is the new old school. Yeah, total money grab. Mothership is cool though. Mothership is cool. Actually, Tuesday Night Games sort of kind of used to be friends of mine. We sort of had mutual friends, and I hung out with Sean and Alan a bunch back in our board gaming days, kind of before they got into RPGs. And they blew it up with Mothership. But Mothership is trying to do something different, and they're doing it differently, and they're approaching it differently, and they're not afraid to, go in a new, bold direction. And they've been rewarded with that very financially, monetarily, which is great for them, and they deserve it. And I hope you would think that should serve as an example, as a lighthouse, as a lodestone for other people to do something similar. But it's hard to be creative, and it's hard to be, come up with something entirely brand new. There's also the downside. If something's too brand new, a lot of times the TTRPG community won't buy it. They go, I kind of like 6 stats. Like, is it really a role-playing game if it doesn't have a D20? I bought all these dice. I want to use them. I've literally heard people say this before, by the way. So, Not nothing. Damian Williams coming in with his 10-month free adventurer message with which Essence 20 game appeals to you most based on what young Derek liked in his day. Well, it's not G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe was never really my jam. That being said, I loved Voltron. And while I was a little bit too old for Power Rangers, that was like my guilty pleasure. Like, I knew that I was a little bit too old to be watching Power Rangers, but I watched it anyways, at least for like the first couple of seasons, like when Tommy, RIP, was still like the Green Ranger and like became the white, up until like the first Power Rangers movie, which I saw. I went and saw that in the movie theaters. So I would say Power Rangers, Damien. That would be that's what I would say. But really, I liked Voltron, which I guess is anime. Yeah, it's probably anime, right? That's part of the problem. All the anime I like is like from the 80s or like the real early 90s. Have you checked out Shadow Dark RPG mix of OSR and 5e? I have not read the rule set, so I am not going to pass any sort of judgment on it, but it doesn't really look like it's doing anything that interesting to me, honestly, Flint. I mean, look, if people want to support it, cool. Like, it just boggles my mind that like that's up to $1 million. And as far as I can tell, it's not really doing anything new. Yeah, it's really, it's like OSC, but it's got like a black on black cover. And that makes it like bleh, death metal. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's an amazing game. I don't know. Who am I to say? I haven't read the rule set. I've read what the rule set purports to do, and I've seen like Questing Beast talk about it. So, but that was a paid for review. Unfortunate Pumpkin with a question. What is the best way to experience BX D&D? A certain hack, a specific OSR game? I would like to experience what it was like at some point as I started playing D&D with 3rd edition. Well, Unfortunate Pumpkin, my go-to response would be to say, grab yourself BX, which normally I keep like right here, but it's not here for some odd reason. Anyways, but that being said, I think Old School Essentials does a fantastic job. Now, you don't need to go and get all the Old School Essentials Advanced Companion. They're just trying to make their money. Just Old School Essentials is pretty much a cleaned up version of Basic with, ascending armor class and ascending attack rolls, which is totally fine. Labyrinth Lord isn't bad either if you really want to. It depends. Are you trying to go for the feel, or are you trying to go for the sort of tactile experience? Like, do you want THAC0 and like descending armor classes? Because, well, that like you want to be like totally immersed in that. Well, then you probably want to go for like Labyrinth Lords. But if you want like the mechanical feel of it without actually having like the actual having to deal with like, wonky rules, I would say Old School Essentials is what I would recommend. That's what I would do. Let's see what else. The only other option I would say is there is an RPG called The Black Hack, which is also pretty dang good. It's like super streamlined and very low rules light, but it's also pretty dang good. I kind of have a thought here, but something I was kind of thinking about today. We're talking about higher level characters and Pathfinder 2 and getting armies and all this other stuff. And I realized something here, which I never really thought about before, which is in older versions of D&D, your characters had saving throws. And as you got higher level, your saving throws got lower. And a saving throw is what you had to roll equal to or higher than in order to not be affected by the thing. So if you got poisoned and would die, you would have to make a saving throw versus poison, or you would die. Ron Rittner in the chat asks, what are my thoughts on racquetball? Well, Ron, I think it's a fantastic sport, and I'm really happy to be playing such exciting and challenging opponents, especially ones who I can beat twice in the same night. For example, I just did that the other day on Sunday. I beat my opponent twice in one day, and it's always a nice. It puts a nice spin on the week. So appreciate that. Ron, by the way, is my racquetball partner. Also, my Vegas buddy, who we're going to be going to Vegas here in 10 days, Ron. 10 days. Peace out, man. He hates losing to me more than anything. And you know what? To be honest with you, he's right to be so mad. Unfortunate enjoys the IRT stream. Oh, right. So I was saying saving throws. They get lower as you get higher level, but there's no DCs in original D&D. So if I get all poison kills you. So if you get poisoned when you're like a level 1 fighter, you need to roll like a 13 or higher or 12 or higher, or you'll die. But if you're higher level, like a 13th level fighter, you need to roll like a 3 or higher or something like that. There's no DCs that you just, and by the way, that's true for death from poison, being petrified, being affected by a magical spell or wand or staff. All of your saves just get lower and lower and lower and lower, and you just become more and more likely to pass them. In a way, original D&D almost kind of weirdly sorta supported the idea that your character was kind of this badass. Then 3rd edition, which introduced the idea of the DC, and that, oh, you're higher level, but the monsters are higher level, and so you're just as likely to fail, which kind of sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck all the time. It definitely doesn't suck if you're playing your game combat as sport and you're looking for essentially you're looking to play Warhammer or you're looking to play War Machine, but you're doing it in TTRPG mode, which you know what? There's a lot of people out there who, thanks to me, have come to realize that is all they're doing and they're okay with it. But there are a lot of people out there who are essentially doing exactly that. And they will not admit it to themselves that they are not playing a TTRPG. They are just playing a tactical miniatures game, and they love to just like pretend it's not that because they want to be like, oh, but my guy's so cool. And look, I'm not knocking that. Maybe I'm mocking it a little bit, but I'm saying like, at least own it. It's own it. Purple GM is working on a video. It's Pathfinder, but I put a little Knight's Charm in it. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be good for you though, Purple GM. Let's see. Jackal Torn Moons. I've really enjoyed watching everything y'all have been doing. Well, Jackal Torn Moons, thank you. Appreciate you coming out to our chats here the last couple weeks, and it's been nice talking with you. I've been reading the 4E previews. Frostjack, do you mean the Worlds and Monsters and Classes and Races books? If so, good. It's interesting to me how balanced encounters, something 4E is known for, wasn't a big priority. Yes, it was more about easy, consistent encounter building rules. Yes, 4E is more D&D than people ever gave it credit for. They just got so distracted by the wrong things. And they mistook trying to create rules for building encounters that could be balanced with a game that only cared about balanced encounters. I would argue, by the way, that is what Pathfinder 2 actually does do. It created these rules for balanced encounters, and then it expects you to use them and to generate them and to use them. People are talking about Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie, which is great. Jackal coming in with a question. After doing tier lists for all the classes and almost all the archetypes, how do you feel about the seeming lack of the mechanical polish for some of the archetypes and classes that the rest of the system has? Well, Jackal, I mean, I don't feel great about it. Look, you're going to produce 22 classes, 175 archetypes. They're not all going to be winners. I mean, we're going to get a bell curve. Some are going to be good. Some are going to be bad. That's just the way things go. that being said, I think what you are really seeing is London Matthews with a $4.99 super chat with a snipe on GM Scott, and somehow, because of rounding, we are 1 penny away from our goal. Now that is
Dungeons and Dragons, Satan's game.
that is YouTube fucking with you, my friend. Appreciate it. But I love it. I love it anyways. I more appreciate the snipe on GM Scott for boss. But yeah, like, you're going to get some low hanging fruit, but you know, there definitely, I think, are classes that are problematic. I think the issue, I was kind of talking about this yesterday. RPGs used to be the vision of 1 or 2 lead designers, and they wrote the book. They just wrote it. They knew the system in and out. It was their vision. It was their baby. Now all of these books are designed by committee. They are outsourced to 5, 10, 15 different contributing authors who write various subsections of different parts of the adventure, different parts of, you know, like, even with an adventure path, you might have 6 issue adventure path, or 3, and each, there's 4 authors in the 6 books, or 3 authors in the 3 books. And the tone changes. The understanding of the rules changes. The interpretation of the rules changes. And there's just not this, maybe they don't have the manpower. Maybe they don't have the resources, the money. Maybe they don't even have the care or the desire. Like, there's nobody at the top sort of setting the stage and setting the tone and coming in, because, you know, Pathfinder Paizo produces an insane number of books a year. And to do that and to meet all your shipping, and you know, these people go fucking crazy if you miss a shipping deadline or whatever. In order to do that, my guess is it's like a chop shop in there. It's like a factory. Like, pages come in, I'm sure somebody reads them, but then they get published. Like, I don't know how much back and forth there is between the editors and the lead designers and the contributors, because I just don't see how they have the time. I just don't see how they have the time to do any of that. That sort of what I guess I would call due diligence. I think the due diligence maybe is lacking. Kinda Bushy Beard says, what system would you pick to introduce a new group of players to tabletop role-playing game systems? My answer has been, for a while, Fate Accelerated Edition. I'm looking to see if I have it here. Wait one. It's like super free, and it's this thin. It's 42 pages long, and that's like with example characters and stuff. The character sheet is 1 page, very small. And you can kind of tell any type of story you want with it. You could play Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars. Like, it's very generic. But what it does is it teaches players, in my opinion, the right lesson about TTRPGs, which is, hey, we're all sitting down and we're going to tell cool stories together, and the game is going to help us do that. That's right. The story and the game, they are combined. The role playing is the game. And I think Fate Accelerated Edition, for its cheapness, its shortness, its brevity, is probably one of the best ones to do it with. The only downside, if there is one, is that technically, to really play it, you do need something called Fate Dice or Fudge Dice. We live in a world of Amazon. It's not really a problem. But, you know, they're these weird little dice here that are, they have two blanks, 2 pluses, and 2 minuses on them. And not everybody has those. You could honestly use just normal D6s in a pinch, but you know, having the Fate dice is cooler. So that's my go-to. Fate Accelerated Edition. I don't think it's not my favorite game, but it's definitely, I think, the best for complete newbies, because I think not only is it explainable, but it lays the right foundation for me for encouraging behaviors that I think are conducive to good RPG play. So, thanks for the question. Jim Scott's going to be in Florida next week. Fantastic. I will be in Vegas next week. Well, end of next week. Yes, I was destroyed in Magic the Gathering on Saturday by Ron, by the way, who I play Magic with. And then I destroyed him in rank. Well, by the way, he still beat me like 4 times. I just beat him twice, you know, so it's an accomplishment for me. Look, I don't want to just turn this into like a dog pile on the Shadow Dark game. It might be totally fine, but I completely agree with you. I'm not a big Mork Bjorg fan either. I think Mork Bjorg is all bark, no bite. I think it's all style, no substance. So, I'm not saying that Shadow Dark is the same thing because I haven't read it. But if I did read it, my feeling is that I might feel the same way. But we'll see. Question: BX or Beck-Me? BX. Easy. Labed Saad, I finally finished watching your 13th Age overview, and I can't help but appreciate the design. I had to wish list the upcoming second edition. Yeah, they announced the second edition before all the OGL nonsense. I don't know if that's going to change their publishing plans or how they want to do. And I've read through the second edition playtest. It's not like they're super tight-lipped about it, but you know, I reached out to the authors and they agreed. They sent me over the copy. It's really not changing much of what first edition did, which is good. It's more sort of some slight tweaks and rebalances. 13th Age is a very interesting hybrid game that rather than just saying, you know, I'm going to take this game and smash them together and call it a new game, when really what it is 2 games stuck together. 13th Age does do the work to make those kind of components interact a little bit, and I think it is a fun experience. It's also a great stepping stone into theater of the mind style play, especially if you're coming from a group that is very heavily grid tactical mini focused. I would even go so far as to say 13th Age can benefit to a certain degree of using miniatures, but in a very loosey-goosey abstract way. No counting squares. Your characters don't have speeds. Things are measured by things like close, nearby, far away. And it gets you into this this rhythm. A lot of people don't like theater of the mind because they say it leads the players to asking too many questions. I think that's a good thing. I think having people be engaged, I think having to constantly have conversations is a good thing at tabletop role-playing games. I like when we have to constantly check in with one another. I cannot stress this enough. The more you share as a player, as a GM, the more you share at your tabletop role-playing game, the better off it will go. Like a great example of this is, and this is like, this doesn't always have to be true, but I think it's almost always true. I think it is totally fine if we are playing a game and, let's say somebody insults my character and my character's a badass. And this might be how I play it. I might even say this. My eyes don't flinch. My lip doesn't quiver. But just so you guys know, like that cut me to the core. Like, obviously, that is exactly the type of thing that Jorath would absolutely be concerned about. And I'm sure that actually, now that I think about it, he probably thinks about that failure every day and the lives that it cost and how he can never repay that debt. And so that is just a brutal cut to my core, because what I'm doing is we're building something together. I'm letting people in. And you know what? they're gonna have a better sense of who my character is and why they're acting the way they're acting. And like, I think sharing information makes for better role-playing games. And so I think theater of the mind leads to better role-playing games, even in combat, because we're constantly describing for one another what we're doing instead of just going, well, look, I don't have to tell you anything because I'll just point at the board. So anyways. My hot take, Derek goes too easy on a lot of the archetypes. I would have raised so much more of those lowers. The Fs would have been abundant. It's hard for me to be super critical of an archetype pumpkin because it's optional. And because if a feat is bad, you don't have to take it, right? Like you're not losing out on something, right? Like, by definition, they're sort of optional. Also, we had the flavor rating because I knew so many of these archetypes were created not for any mechanical reason. Yes, Nox. That's a great example. We were talking earlier about multiple authors. AV definitely suffers from that for sure. For sure. By the way, if somebody does manage to send me $1, YouTube will take 30 cents of that. So, just FYI. But you know what? YouTube always takes 30%. So they get their money regardless. If you tip, PayPal gets like 2.9% or something. Yes, fudge dice and fate dice are the same things. Oh, using a deck of cards? That's pretty cool. Any European RPGs I have played? Well, I haven't played it yet, but I love most of the Free Liga stuff, the Free League stuff, Purple GM. I love Forbidden Lands, which is right there. Right there. That's Forbidden Lands. Modiphius is, I think it's out of England. I love the Dune 2D20 system. I think the Star Trek Adventures 2D20 system adventure is great. I played Star Trek 2D20 for a little while there. I thought that was really great. Yeah, I think I really like a lot of that stuff. I bought and read Vossen. Is it Vossen? No, Symborum. I wasn't so big into Symborum. Symborum was a little. Pumpkin wants to run 13th Age. Pumpkin wants to run everything. They probably spent $1,000 this year on RPGs. I wish I wish Dungeon World could get the same treatment as 13th Age. I understand why it won't, but it's still a shame. Do you mean treatment like it would get a second edition? Because if that's the case, I agree with you. I'd love to see it. Dungeon World is what Dungeon World is, and Dungeon World should be left alone. Dungeon World is a fantasy love letter to BX D&D and using some Powered by the Apocalypse concepts and tropes in order to sort of make it into a game. That's great. Fine. Whatever. Full stop. I want there to be the heroic fantasy, modern Powered by the Apocalypse game. I want that takes advantage of the 10 plus years of development, that gets away from some of the clumsy and crude elements of Dungeon World, which they only put in because it's D&D and you should have hit points. When we understand that, like, there are better ways to experience the game and using the PBTA mechanics to arrive at an intended outcome, which is, ideally probably heroic fantasy adventure. And so if we start with a guideline of what is our game about, it's about heroic fantasy adventure. And that's what we want out of these systems. Then can we use the PBTA framework, philosophy, and some of the mechanisms and some of the gadgets and widgets that we have, along with maybe some new stuff, to build mechanics that support that core goal and structure. Now, I think Dungeon World is great, but Dungeon World is very much what it is supposed to trying to be, which is a love letter to the 1980s basic D&D, you done with, this. Oh, never mind. Okay. I literally just said everything you said. Okay. We're on the same page. Revised edition with modern PBTA mechanics. But that's what I'm saying. I think you just get away from Dungeon World entirely. It doesn't have to be Dungeon World at all. We can almost completely leave most of that stuff behind. And I think approach it, with fresh eyes and ask ourselves, knowing what we know now, and we know a lot, we've played a lot, we've seen a lot. If we don't have to be beholden to the past, we don't have to, bring the first edition Dungeon World players to the second edition. Fuck them. Like I want to make the best game to make it, that's what I want. London, take care, buddy. And the poop stain 99-cent unfortunate pumpkin puts us over $50. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. RPG! 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 So definitely cool stuff there. Follow up to Kinda Bushy Beer's question. Do you think crunchy games like Pathfinder 2nd Edition or 4E are bad induction to TTRPGs? Yes. 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 I even said that early on in our channel. I had a D&D and 5e game. We had a D&D and 5e video, which was one of our more popular videos. And I basically said, I'm like, look, we're a Pathfinder 2 channel. I said, I would never recommend Pathfinder 2e to a new player. And I said, granted, for that matter, I wouldn't recommend 5th edition to a new player. And then Bob was like, well, what would you recommend? And I probably said Fate. But no, I would not recommend those games. Not because I think that they're too complicated, although I do think that they are too complicated. But that's not the reason. I think I wouldn't recommend them because I think they instill bad values. I think they teach the wrong lessons. I think they reward the wrong things, to quote Princess Irulan from Dune, a beginning is a very delicate time. And the lessons that you learn through your first campaign or your first experience with TTRPGs really can set the mold for your arc through the hobby for a long time. And I think first principles are so important to establish there about what the games are really actually about. Yeah. Labib said, is there a proper way to play power fantasy in tabletop role-playing games? Probably Pathfinder 2E or 5th edition D&D would be my guess. Those games are pretty much power fantasy. Your numbers go up and you're flying through the air and now I'm killing dragons and I'm cutting their heads off with my sword and my fireball is now a comet. That is pretty much power fantasy. Have you ever talked about ranked all the Pathfinder 2 actual plays? No, because I haven't played all the Pathfinder 2 actual plays. I definitely have not read all the Pathfinder 2 actual plays. So I wouldn't really be able to do that. And even if I had read them all, which is saying something, I haven't played them. And playing them and reading them are often two separate things. So no, I have not. I have read most of Age of Ashes. I read like the first couple things of Agents of Edgewatch. I've obviously read Abomination Vaults, Quest for the Frozen Flame. Maybe one more I'm forgetting, but not impressed. Marvelous Mr. Mean has been running Fallout TD20 from Mophidius. From Modiphius. I would say Mophidius, and it's Modiphius. Big fan of the rule set they use for their games. Yeah, it's a fantastic rule set. I haven't specifically dug into the Fallout 2D20 system, but I know that Dune, which is I think their most recent one, and they're smart, Marvelous. They're iterating each new set of their core game engine. They say, what works, what doesn't work, what should we tweak, what works better for this genre of game than the other ones. They're not just trying to just jam the same fucking mechanics down your throat 18 different times. So I appreciate that from their design space as well. Don't call it Dungeon World, call it Dragon World. Maybe that works. fantasy world. Oh, wait, maybe. John, I don't think you've seen you tonight. Do you think Shadow Dark is really all that, or are they just circling the wagons to promote the next thing? I think there is a fair amount of circling the wagons going on, John. I see it's the same people promoted Index Card RPG, Easy D6. Yes. Well, the author of Shadow Dark was a contributor on Index Card RPG, so I think it's all the same group of people. And I think they are willing to spend money to market, and that seems to work. So good for them. I mean, I don't know what they paid those people, but I mean, I'm willing to bet that they only paid a couple $100 to get an ad read on one of their channels, maybe even less. And they're doing $1 million, so good for them. But I've not read the rule set, so I cannot say. I've read what others have written, and I've seen what others have said, and I won't really offer too much of that. But other than to say, the impression that I got from those things was not very impressing. This reminds me of the fact that my party who's playing Kingmaker right now was so stunned when I asked them to talk about their backstory. No one had even considered it. I have a conflicting relationship with backstory, which is kind of counterintuitive, but I'll just say nod. Just kidding. I'm back. All right, London, welcome back. It's so funny that she was big on the DM Vault. Yeah, the one adventure that's like a 5-page one-shot. It's like a 6-page one-shot. I actually own it. But yeah. Best world setting you've ever read in a tabletop role-playing game. I've got like 3 answers. Number 1 is probably Dark Sun, because it's awesome. So I would definitely say Dark Sun. Number 2, I think, is my biased answer here is Rokugan, which is from Legend of the Five Rings. But it's probably, like if I'm trying to be unbiased, it's probably not Rokugan. I just like it, and I like the way that they did it. But Dark Sun is so good. Athos is such an incredible world. Second, it's not really a world, but the campaign setting of Planescape is so mind fucking awesome. The idea of sigil and the idea that these people are literally fighting, like, ideas and philosophies are like made manifest and can affect reality. It's such like a weird, hyper trippy idea that it's very appealing to certain parts of my sensibilities, because it's so absurdly fantasy that it like, we're clearly not in the realm of Tolkien here, right? And I'm okay with that, because we're living in a city which is in the center of an infinite plane on an infinitely tall spire, which is a circled donut torus, which is built on the inside of it, right? So it's like, yeah, it's like, it's pretty awesome. So Planescape, Sigil, but Planescape, Dark Sun. What else? It's not the right answer, but I don't know. I'd have to think about the third one. It's all good. Look, I think Forgotten Realms is okay. I think Greyhawk is okay. I think Galarian is okay. Like, they're just generic fantasy worlds. There's nothing special about them at all. And they're designed to be generic fantasy world. They're designed to be maximally appealing. Oh, anybody can set their campaign in our world. Okay, that already means it's boring and I don't care about it. So. TTRPG settings ranked. No, not a chance. Not a drummer. Not a chance, my friend. Gotta love those level 1 characters with superheroic world-saving backstories. You know, you'd be surprised. This is the kind of GM I am, Jackal Tornmoons. Someone shows up, they've got a backstory about how there's some awesome person who like saved a town, and I'll be like, dude, that is totally awesome, but I've got a big problem with your backstory. And they're like, why? Did I make him too powerful? I was like, no, you make your character too weak. Boom, make your character level 10 immediately, because clearly your character is a badass and should have been able to do all those things. What about the rest of us? Well, did you do anything cool? No. Then get fucked. Emir says, I feel like coming from a game that emphasizes role-playing and then starting Pathfinder 2E gives you better lessons. That's what I did with my group, and just having more mechanics helps you role-play even more. Okay, that sounds pretty good. Also, thank you for introducing me to PF2 in the first place. You are quite welcome. It is a very robust mechanical system. Again, well-designed, questionably executed at times, but it is a very fun and interesting variant of the D20 engine that I think is going to carry its weight for a couple more years for sure. Given that Wizards won't be doing Dark Sun, any plans on bending your Apocalypse setting to take up that space? Probably not. I'm sure you would probably get some sort of copyright infringement, but it is regrettable. Dark Sun is just so uniquely awesome. Dragonlance is great. I love Dragonlance. I played Dragonlance for a very long time. For many years, actually. We played Dragonlance campaigns exclusively. You know, but it's just a generic fantasy setting. I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing really super special about Dragonlance. I have nostalgia. I have nostalgia love for Forgotten Realms as well, Boothby. I know more about the Forgotten Realms than I probably care to admit. But there's nothing about it to me that really stands out. My hot take: Ravnica was novel and interesting when MTG introduced it, but it was nowhere near worth the hype people gave it. Yeah, that's probably pretty true. It's a what is it? A Eucamenopolis, right? It's a world that's one city, like Coruscant in Star Wars, I think is one. Could be saying the word wrong, but it's like ECEUNO polis or something like that. All right, well, guess what? We caught up to the bottom of the chat. We reached our tip goals. We had a great time tonight. We got to meet some new friends. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and hanging out with me. We got ourselves a Thursday stream. Flint's heading out. I'm going to be heading out. Flint's out. I'm out. That's the way it goes. Thanks again, Flint, for the upgrade. So yeah, very, very interesting, very interesting set of circumstances we find ourselves in as we're about to wrap up Archetypes on Thursday. And we're going to try it. We might do a marathon session, people. We've got like 20 to go. Now I have 2 Thursdays. I have this Thursday, which is the 2nd, and I have next Thursday, which is the 9th. But we know that we have a couple of class archetypes that we skipped that we said we would go back and do. And we have Zebra Wrangler archetype to build and create or to talk about. So I don't want to leave that to, the last minute. So I really kind of want to try this Thursday to just buckle up, tighten in. Oh shit, today's the 7th. Okay, I'm sorry. We have the 9th and the 16th. I didn't mark my calendar for days that have passed. Okay, we have the 9th and the 16th left because I leave on the 17th. So I'm partly trying to, I want to kind of, on Thursday, if we can do it, I kind of want to try to get all of them done, except for the class archetypes. But that might mean like a 4-hour stream. I might have to like go get like double shot, triple shot espresso and get some monsters, and we'll just do it. Yes. Oh, cool. I wasn't completely horribly off with the spelling of that. Thank you, Gino Scott. I catch up to the live at the same time as you catch up to the bottom of the chat. That's very nice. By the way, so the game that I didn't mention, So, for the question of which this will be where we'll end the stream. For the question of which TTRPG setting is the best or was the most interesting, it is entirely possible that it may in fact be this game and this setting. This game is hard to find. You probably have to spend a couple $100 on it. I think there was only ever one printing of it. It's a Crane game, so there's no PDF. This game, this is the rule book, by the way. I'll just read this, and I'll just read the. By the way, there's a little art. Here we go. There's the art. I'm just going to read the setting here. Welcome to the Donut. We are a society of functionally immortal, cybernetically modified, telepathic infovores. Our culture is centered on a reputation-based economy in which all basic needs, from sustenance to shelter, are accounted for. If you wish to do more than just survive, if you wish to create, perform, build, or destroy, you must win the approval of your friends and the community at large. Our community at large is currently over 80,000 strong. It is contained in a Stanford Taurus-style space station, parked at the L5 Lagrange point of Titan and Saturn. Our habitat was designed to hold 40,000 comfortably, but we have modified it to accommodate our expanding numbers. There are no laws in our society, but there is also no crime and no death. So we think we're doing a fair job of it. You are one of us now. Welcome. What do you do in Utopia? Off-market folks always ask us, what do you do up there? They can't imagine how one would live in Utopia. Just like you, we have families, passions, and hobbies, and while we don't labor to earn money for food and housing, we each have causes, philosophies, or purpose to which we dedicate ourselves. We do what we love, and we're very passionate about it. Sounds like a nice life, huh? Now that you're one of us, you're going to join a group of like-minded individuals, and you're going to energetically pursue your agenda. You're going to build technologies, create ideas, and probably step on a few toes. You're going to earn recognition and favor from your friends, and we hope from the rest of the session. Of course, space station resources are limited, particularly space. So not every idea or dream can be brought to fruition. Therefore, users spend their reputation to ensure that their ideas are seen or heard. With 80,000 odd contestants, the competition for status and resources is intense. So this is a RPG that is set in a post-scarcity economy where your characters can, decant themselves. Yes, fully automated space communism. Yes, it's fully post-singularity. Computers and everything take care of everything. There is no want. There's no any of that stuff. You just get it. Now, when you play the game itself, it contains it contains these little punch outs. You can give people you have to give there's cardboards. You give people like likes and dislikes and frownies, and you can give them bugs. It's like giving people thumbs up. Like if you've ever watched Black Mirror, there's a episode called Nosedive where everybody, or Meow Meow Beans from Community. It's like that, but in space with no money or death. Anyways. Oh yeah, you can definitely get ratioed in real life. In fact, about the only way you can die in this game is if you piss off enough people on the space station and they vote to kick you out of the space station and send you back to wherever else in the solar system you'd rather be. Anyways, it's a very weird game. Hey, I was going to end, and Kinda Bushy Beard comes in at the last minute with a $10 super chat, steals the hype boss title, and ends us off with a very, very nice thank you. Says, thanks for all of your insight. You have helped me fall back in love with these games, and I can't thank you enough. Hats off to you, sir. Kinda Bushy Beard, thank you very much for that. Love hearing stuff like that. Thank you for the support. And again, I'm not a hater. I love these games probably more than the people out there who like the game, that talk very positively about the game. I bet you they don't care one iota as much as I care. These games are my life. They have been my life for a very long time. My friends, my social network, my hobbies, they all interlink and intertwine with these games. And while I love playing them, I'm also very passionate about them. I like helping other people find their next favorite game. So, thank you so much for the kind words, Kind of Bushy Beard. Thank you for the very generous super chat. Looks like I'm going to be reaching out to a cameo from No Nats. I'm not going to try to deceive him, by the way. I'm going to say, hey, I'm Derek from Night's the Last Call. I saw you doing cameos. I'd love to get, I'd love to get a voice clip of you for my channel just because I think it'd be a lot of fun. I'm the, and he gets to control what he says. So it can't be anything horrible because I'm going to be very upfront with him and very honest with him. Well, and just like that, GM Scott just takes the wind out of my sails. Boom, reality check. Whew, get the whiplash from that one, boy. Thank you, GM Scott. I needed that. All right, people. I am going to get going. I'm going to be back Thursday. Again, potentially from a very, very long stream. I might, if I have it within me, to do it. So buckle up. Buckle up, Buttercup, because we might be going in to try to finish this archetype stuff off. All right, everybody. Thank you again so much for the support. Check us out. Like, comment, subscribe if you're not already done so. Ring the bell so you get notifications whenever we go live. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m., but you never know when there's going to be a super secret Sunday system stream or maybe a Friday live stream from the studio. Did you miss that? It's a shame. If you have missed anything, make sure to check out our live tab in our YouTube channel that has a ton of content. We don't post a lot of recorded videos recently, but you can check out our older stuff too. I tend to respond to the comments to that as well. And of course, if you really want to support us and you want to join part of this fun, exciting, exuberant community of learning and growing and sharing and just praising the awesomeness of tabletop role-playing games, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Knights of Last Call. You'll also see a link down there for Drive-Thru-RPG. If you use our affiliate link, we get a couple of percentage points back of whatever you purchase. Doesn't cost you any extra money, but it's a great way of supporting the channel if maybe money is tight, and maybe you can consider that. So thank you so much, everybody, again, and I will see you next time on Knights of Last Call. Peace.